is a problem. That just it erodes our societal fabric. People look up at their elite class and say, wow, people in politics can literally just take this money and wipe their butts with it. And I can't even put food on my table. It's ridiculous.
What says you
come on.
about Rand Paul? What's up this guy's rear end, Mark? What's up his tuchus that he's so Trump deranged that he wants us to recover the bodies from these blown up vessels and charge them with crimes. He says there's a 25% error rate on blowing up these drug dealers. What does he want us to do? Does he want us to get to America and then use our resources on the ground here?
I think we are kind of like past the time where we can look at principles like this. And listen, I believe in the Constitution. I believe that we have constitutionally protected natural rights from God, but those apply to American citizens. I think the idea that like when a country is, listen, if Venezuela cared, they would not be allowing these people to do this. They would be working with us. They would be blaming us. And what do we hear? Absolutely nothing. And the Libertarian Party, in my opinion, is just a complete joke. First off, they're completely irrelevant. They are leftists. They've been taken over. The amount of turnout they get is going down and down and down. And that's because people are past the idea of just ideological principles. They want action. And what happens on the right is that everybody always comes up with a nice principled reason to grind everything to a halt. And I don't think it's any different with Rand Paul or Thomas Massie. And what the Republicans need right now is a solid rank of people who are going to be America first and economic populist. And we don't have that. We're not going to have that. And it's going to be bad.
My favorite part about Rand doing this whole retarded comedic act that he's doing is that he's now, Mark, in the ranks of people like Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, Tom Tillis, and Mitch McConnell. Is that really the people you want to surround yourselves? And that's in addition to the Bernie Sanders and the Marxist Dems that he's voting with. He's got this stupid stance like he's this economic guru about tariffs. And he's the only one who shares it. I really don't understand. That's the people you want to be like in cahoots with, those four rhinos who are at some point, Mitch McConnell's out of here. Tom Tillis is a goner. The writing's on the wall for Murkowski. If they didn't have that ranked choice in Alaska, she would be gone. And then somehow Susan Collins always finds a way to skate by, but I don't think she's doing too well health-wise. So I don't know how much longer she's going to be out there. But these are the people you want to surround yourself with?
I think these are the people that probably, well, let me put it this way. These are the swing votes on the nuclear option. And I think a lot of Republicans talk about how they don't want to use it. But J.D. Vance made a pretty stunning speech last night to a Turning Point USA event. It was really incredible, and we could go over the stuff he said. But one of the most important things, in my opinion, is that he said we cannot be afraid to do something because the left might do it in the future. The left is going to do it regardless if we do it. He's talking about the nuclear option. And Thune kind of changed his tone a little bit. I think about 2 weeks ago, he came out and said to Politico that essentially we don't have the votes. That doesn't mean they don't want to do it. That means that Murkowski and Collins and Mitch McConnell and these people are not letting them do it. And I made a high engagement tweet today. We're past, tea time in the 119th Congress. We're past tea time in the Senate. They need to play smash mouth, hardball. These people have skeletons in their closets. They have big political dynasties. They probably have all kinds of corrupt interests. And it's like, maybe it's time to break the emergency glass and get America like some freaking relief.
Yeah, we definitely need relief. I said earlier on in the show, we're getting rid of the ones in Congress. I always say Congress because I work there. In Congress, you say Congress is the members of the House of Representatives. In Congress, when you work there, you call the Senate. I mean, overall, the whole thing is Congress, but whatever. So the members of the House, it's easier to get rid of. And we've gotten rid of, almost every single one of them. They've been primaried out. But it's hard to get rid of these ones in the Senate because somehow they get ridiculous amounts of money. And then when you track where the money came from, Mark, it came from like the Senate leadership PAC, which is like the head Republican who's running the place. And you're like, dude, we're trying to get rid of these people, but you're funneling in millions. If you look where Rand Paul's getting his money, he gets all this money from the Senate leadership PAC. You look at Mitch McConnell, Senate leadership, and but nobody calls him out on it. I don't know why Donald Trump doesn't come out and say, like, what the hell are you doing funneling this money? I don't know if he even knows what's going on, but why does nobody tell him?
I think he probably knows. And I think that somewhere along the line, they made the command decision that they can't blow up the Republican Party because they need to win. And unfortunately, that puts us in a situation where winning is probably different than what you and I expect to happen in winning. And there's a solution to that. For every Democrat you investigate, for every 2 Democrats you investigate 1 Republican. Just make sure the ratio's good, right? You're kind of right. I'm feeling a little bit more optimistic because we've heard about Arctic frost and how it was targeting 160 legislatures. And I'm surprised. That's probably the number of uncorrupted Republican legislatures that they don't already have dirt on. So it's like, that's a higher number than I would have thought. And maybe it's a good sign. I don't know.
I'm all for investigating anyone who's corrupt. I don't care who it is. I'll say a name, which I'll probably get pushed back on the show for and probably have people tune out right now. Marjorie Taylor Greene went in there. Somehow she's still running her construction company. Don't know how. She clearly employs illegals for her construction company. It's not my words. This is her words that came out of her mouth in an interview. She was dumb enough to say it,
right.
Or brazen enough. I don't know which one it is, dumb enough or brazen enough. I don't think she's exactly smart. She's going to be on The View next week. It's going to be trash, and trashier watching her with those women there. But somehow making $174,000 a year. She's got this construction company. And I looked today and I think she's got $3.5 or $3.8 million of investments right now in the stock market since taking office. The math just doesn't make sense for me. $174,000 after taxes is something, if you live in Georgia, maybe somewhere on the round of $110,000 a year. She's got kids. She's got a house that she pays for. How do you have $3.8 million in investments? Some people say $20 million because that's her valuation with her construction company. The number I saw was, I think, $3.8 million in investments. I don't care if it's left or right. I want them all investigated because we're not doing that. We're not making that money. If that's how you want to play, that's fine. Share the information with all of us and let us all make the money.
First off, I agree 100% about the construction worker situation. And I've been the very first person to go out there and say that we need to hold these businesses accountable.
Second,
because well, it's not in a wink. This is what has to work in the industry. Well, everybody's doing that. This is like what happens when you don't pick up litter on the street. Well, all of a sudden your city looks like Philadelphia, and we live in Philadelphia right now. And so we need to fix that. Now, as for like her personal finances, like I really don't know, because we know that all of these people are enriching themselves, and she's probably the least egregious case that I've heard of, quite frankly. And who knows, like, could have been a family inheritance, could have been her, like, who really freaking knows? But that's fine if you're going to look into it. I wholeheartedly agree. But then let's also arrest JD Pritzker for laundering gambling earnings or for going up against ICE. If we're going to go after her construction company, let's also go after Phil Murphy for harboring an illegal alien and snubbing. So yeah, like 100% agree. But we're going after nobody. Right? You know what I mean? Let's I keep hearing about these grand juries, windows closing.
Yeah,
we may be facing the purge tomorrow, John. 2 more days, right? This weekend.
Yeah,
where people just walk in and steal all of Walmart.
we spoke about that earlier on in the show. Not just there's certain things that are being investigated. It's whatever Pam Bondi wants to call. This is the latest one tonight, Mark, out of the Associated Press. The Justice Department is investigating fraud allegations in the Black Lives Matters movement. Justice Department is investigating whether leaders in the Black Lives Matter movement defrauded donors who contributed tens of millions of dollars during the racial justice protests in 2020, according to multiple people familiar with this matter. In the recent weeks, federal law enforcement officials have issued subpoenas for at least one search warrant as part of an investigation in the Black Lives Matter global network. So nice that they're doing it. This should have happened long ago. We all heard the stories about Black Lives Matter enriching themselves, buying houses and things like that. Is this Pam Bondi? Right, 2020. Is this Pam Bondi's way of, exactly right, under William Barr. Is this Pam Bondi's way of trying to say, well, we're investigating, we're doing a good job without really investigating the real people who need to be investigated? Jack Smith, for one.
We have a list of probably about 500 items now that we need accountability for. And it's like, if I was going to guess, I would say there are a couple of, like, maybe 12 of them that have circled around them. And okay, we're opening the investigation. 2 of them have a check mark next to them, right? That's Bolton and Comey. And then there's a whole lot that have just been completely lined out. Like the whole 100 list items underneath COVID appear to have been completely scratched out. We're not going to go after that. And, like that's the problem. And it's like, okay, the wheels of justice grind slowly. And I understand she has limitations, 100% understand. But at the same time, we're talking about a very political existential situation here. We're talking about like Democrat congressional representatives that are talking about rounding up and shooting Republicans if they get back into office. I don't know if you saw that quote.
Yeah.
Forget and so again, it's a problem. And they're okay. Republicans look like they might eke out 26, maybe. They're probably going to win 28, but the long-term writing is on the wall. And again, let's just go back to what JD Vance said. The left is going to do it regardless of if we do it or not. So we're getting into this game theory situation where we're kind of in like mutually assured destruction. You know what I mean? Like at a certain point, the right has to look in advance and say, okay, well, this is where this leads. And maybe we need to break a sweat, or maybe we need to rock the boat a little bit. They're not, I mean, like Congress is doing nothing. You know what I mean? Like the states aren't really doing anything. Okay, we have a few new maps, but the states could be suing industry. The FTC could be smashing companies apart. Like there's so many things that could be happening right now that just aren't.
Instead, you've got people inside the FTC leaking group chats of their own party to try to sabotage because somebody got a picture with Donald Trump and the other person didn't. That's the childish, stupid behavior we're working with right now. Wow. There's no doubt, Mark, there's one person in Congress who's doing a really good job and continues to work, and it's James Comer. And I was so happy to see him come out yesterday and pretty much poke Pam Bondi in the eye and say, I'm going to out you, and he's already done this. I'm going to out you because you haven't done your job and you're not going to do your job. And I was told by a member of Congress, and I'm not going to repeat their name, that they believe Pam Bondi was a problem and that Pam Bondi was going to try to stifle their lawsuits. So to see Comer come out and do that after hearing from this member of Congress, and this was a Republican member of Congress that I spoke to see Comer come out and do that, I think he was probably alerted to the same thing that this member was alerted to, that Pam Bondi is going to probably try to stifle these investigations. And we saw it with Lindsay Halligan. She had a total meltdown. I don't know if it's because she thinks Lindsay Halligan is prettier than her, but she had a total meltdown that Lindsay Halligan went after James Comey, and went after Big Tish James. So I think that tells us all we need to know. But she had a total meltdown. Why wasn't I informed about this? I didn't know about this. And it's sad that it took Donald Trump having to appoint this woman in the Eastern District of Virginia to get some sort of indictments for cases that were pretty clear cut.
Yeah, the cases we've seen, right? And she had to go in there and actually fire a family member of James Comey in order to get this indictment through. And I assume some of it is probably just making her completely look bad, because Lindsay Halligan in 3 days has put out more indictments, I guess, than Pam Bondi. I don't know, like how much, like what have we really seen in indictments?
What they'll do is they'll show you the shiny object. Pam will come out and say, we've rescued 300,000 kids or whatever, and that's awesome. I mean, that's terrific that you found these kids. I want to know how they went missing in the first place and how we didn't know that 300,000 kids were missing. That's mind-blowing to me. Parents don't know their kids are missing, how this is not a bigger issue, but that's great. Okay. But I feel like this was just another shiny object that she's flashing in front of our eyes with this Black Lives Matter. I mean, that's in the rearview mirror. You should have investigated them before when they did all this stuff. Now you're just flashing shiny object, and people are onto it, Mark. People write comments on this show all the time and they say, like, don't fall for the bull. We're not. I sit here and call Pam Bondi out all day long, because I don't think she's doing a good job, and I don't think she's got the best interests of President Trump in her favor.
I mean, I don't know what's going on in her head, but I can only project based on what I see. And this Black Lives Matter thing has got to be, if you were to like tier rank all of the things on this list of accountability needing, it's got to be one of the most egregious ones. We're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars allegedly of laundered money that was used to buy mansions and stuff like that. It was very flagrant stuff. Yeah. It is a problem that just erodes our societal fabric. People look up at their elite class and say, wow, people in politics can literally just take this money and wipe their butts with it, and I can't even put food on my table. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it makes me want to run for Congress. Lou always used to try to get me to run, and he'd say, we'll make sure you get the funding. We'll make sure you get everything you need. We'll make sure you have donors and this. And I'm like, I don't really want to give up what I'm doing. I don't want to become one of them, because it's almost like the inevitable. I know so many people in politics who went in, good people, and now they come out and local assemblymen and so on and so forth. And they come out and they're like, just mechanical people. They're not the same people they were. Politics does something to some people, and I don't know what it is. Whether it's the parties they have, whether it's the money they're getting, the whole thing is just totally screwed up. Mark.
Yeah, I think it's like the same thing I see happening in the American big denomination churches, which is that acceptance is a lot easier than principles and judgment, repentance. This idea of like, hey, everything's not okay.
Yeah.
You have to draw a line. And I'd imagine if you're an elected representative, you're always looking in order to expand the pie. Everybody is a potential voter, everybody's a potential donor. And you never want to say no to people, but people want things to be said no to now. That's the thing. It's like, how many out there were really, really like rabidly anti LGBT, women in locker rooms, kind of stuff like that? The polling showed overwhelmingly that like 65, 70% of America was against this stuff. And quite frankly, it would be a higher number if Republicans actually played ball, but they were so concerned about getting that one nasty, article in an LGBT magazine, or having some companies, do some kind of things like the Disney company was like, that's what they're just cowards. They won't stand for what's right because it's not in their best interest.